sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button for me, please. Y'all see it right here. Y'all see it right here. Elon Musk made put this, post up. Well, this is Scott Jennings, on CNN. And it's a lot of talk. It's definitely a lot of talk. With a lot, that's going on. Within this, the ICE agent, and the woman that, tried to, use her vehicle, and it's you got to watch what you say on here, y'all. So that's why I'm trying to, watch my words a little bit. But it's definitely insane. Not only did this happen, something so bad of this, but you also have individuals in Minnesota. You have Tim Walz. You have Jacob Fry. I'm pretty sure that's how you say his name. You have Ilhan Omar. You have different individuals, basically in a sense of having that that inside violence and making it worse. Making everything worse, and it's definitely not good. To do that. Check it out right here.
I agree with you, Jonathan. I think there's some details we don't know yet, and we'll have to learn more about it. What strikes me is, first of all, it's extremely sad and unfortunate that someone died. I mean, the political fighting and disagreements aside, it's terrible. You don't want people to die in law enforcement situations or otherwise. But it strikes me that we are undergoing an epidemic of political vigilantism right now. Why are people showing up in vehicles, in convoys, not just in Minneapolis, but all over the country in an effort to obstruct lawful federal law enforcement activities? This is not an isolated incident. We have had hundreds of car rammings against ICE agents all over the country. According to DHS, this lady in this car today, along with other vehicles, had been tracking ICE agents around. Why are people believing that they can drive their car into a federal law enforcement situation and that is an appropriate thing to do? I understand they don't like the fact that these agents are enforcing existing immigration law, but that's not how we change laws in this country. If you don't like a law, you talk to the politicians. You don't drive your car into the middle of a building or a law enforcement situation that's being occupied by the people who are simply there to enforce the law. If I don't like how much the IRS is charging me in taxes, I don't drive my car into the Treasury Department and try to run somebody over. I call my congressman. Political vigilantism is being encouraged by Democratic officials like the Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota, Peggy Flanagan, who earlier this year told people to, quote, put your bodies on the line, and Tim Walz calling these guys Gestapo all year. What do you think happens when you radicalize a base of people about this?
Strike me.
And that's what I don't like. There should be no excuse whatsoever, and or going against what Scott Jennings just said. And I say that because there's just no way, y'all, that you have individuals that think this is something that's just okay to do. You know what I mean? This is not something that's just okay to do. And again, I'm not trying to make excuses for anybody at all. But I do look at the simple fact that I do find it pretty insane. I find it pretty insane, y'all, that you have, these individuals that get on the news. You're having Tim Walz. You're having these different individuals that are saying different things. Of course, you're going to have people, doing this. Sad to say that. You're going to have people doing, they obviously like, oh, okay, well, our governor said this. Our governor thinks this is okay to do. Our mayor, so when you're having these individuals and they're getting on here saying stuff like that, I mean, it's definitely, it's sickening. It's definitely sickening, that they're doing this. As Will Kane, it said that it's on Jacob Fry.
This is not cosplay protest theater. This is not high school political performance. This is real life. We will determine whether the officer acted within the law. That process must be respected. But this much is already clear. The confrontation itself didn't begin with that agent. It began with reckless political rhetoric that directly put those amenable civilians directly in the path of armed law enforcement. This tragedy is not on an ICE agent defending himself from a moving vehicle. It is on the politicians who set this in motion. It is on Jacob Fry, a man who behaves this way, who rushes to judgment, who undermines lawful authority and inflames public hostility in the aftermath of a death, has no place in American leadership. Not as mayor, not as a public servant, not as a dog catcher, not anywhere near power. Words create reality. Leaders choose those words, and today Jacob Fry chose recklessness, and people paid the price and might continue to pay the price. The sad thing is today's display of demonizing ICE isn't shocking because it isn't new. This is not...
Telling y'all. Definitely sad. It's definitely sad, that people are, doing this, but it's obviously sad and it's horrible that you're having individuals like Mayor Fry that are, doing this, and for his, like he just said, his dangerous rhetoric. I'm not even gonna lie. Definitely sickening, So you have here, Jacob Fry gets on CNN with Kaylin Collins and says this, y'all.
And Mr. Mayor, after you told ICE to get the F out of the city, I've seen a lot of Republicans here in Washington criticizing those comments, saying that you're escalating tensions with that. Can you respond to them, and what do you say to them tonight, people who criticize those comments?
I'm so sorry if I offended their Disney princess ears, but here's the thing. If we're talking about what's inflammatory, on the one hand, you got someone who dropped an F-bomb, and on the other hand, you got someone who killed somebody else. F-bomb, killing somebody. I think the more inflammatory action is killing somebody. And so, once again,
okay. My thing is, let's say, and I don't want to make this sound bad. Let's say this situation, and I'm asking y'all, what do y'all think his reaction would be? What do you think he would say? If this situation was the other way around, and that woman succeeded on what she was trying to do?
Nothing.
What would you say then, y'all?
Well, a damn thing.
Real and just honest and straight up about what's happening here. This is not okay. The way they're coming into cities, not just Minneapolis, but around the country, is not okay. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, you should understand the importance of constitutional law enforcement. You should understand the importance of not discriminating based on race and randomly plucking people off the street because they're Somali or Latino. And especially from what we've seen, you should also understand the importance of de-escalating tense situations, not killing people and yanking out a gun. And so, again, I'm not going to preempt the investigation. It is important that we do that. And at the same time, you want to make a big deal about an F-bomb, let's make a big deal about our Constitution. I think that's probably the better route.
My thing is that it's never a good look to anybody when you don't really take that accountability. Him saying that and saying, okay, let's compare the two, just goes to show you his character.
Mm-hmm.
It goes to show you his character.
And
it obviously sucks. It obviously shows that he has no character. Obviously, because he's sitting there and comparing, instead of, well, I shouldn't have said that. I should have, said this, or I should have. It's other ways. Instead, he goes straight to, let's compare the two, and he was wrong for what he did, and let me take up for the Somalians, the people that are in this fraud and causing all these issues and taking money from the taxpayers. Right. Definitely insane. I'm not gonna lie. Definitely insane. Not even gonna lie. Not only did you have Fry that did this, but you also had Tim Walz that did the same thing. Check it out.
No, you're not. Governor Walz and the mayor should be charged with inciting violence, and they should actually, it should go before a grand jury, and hopefully they'd be indicted, because that's what they did, Steve. They not only put a target on the backs of law enforcement officers in Minnesota, but nationwide. And this is the kind of rhetoric that emboldens people to do some crazy things. And the fact of the matter is, look, we all feel bad that a life was taken, but the police officer in this case did his job according to the book, according to the rules of engagement that all of us in law enforcement are trained to do. He protected his own life, the life of his colleagues, and God knows how many lives down the road when this individual decided to weaponize that vehicle. That became a deadly weapon.
That's right.
Apparently the governor and the mayor just can't get that through their heads.
And let's understand the backstory that not too many people have explored yet, but you and I are about to. This 37-year-old woman who died, mother of three, she was leading this convoy. There was a swarm of agitators, of protesters, swarming these ICE agents throughout the streets of Minneapolis yesterday. She was the lead convoy car. They kept turning and blocking, and that's why in the video her.
Okay, let me say this too. I don't want to make this sound bad whatsoever because I said in my last video that I do pray for both of the families. I'm a child of God, and that's how I've always been. What I'm trying to figure out, if they're saying that she's a mother of 3, in those situations, that's why it's very, very important to think about that. Thinking about the decisions that you make when you go into something so difficult like that. This is not the first time, I'm sure, that she has seen what protesters has done and what they're doing, when it comes to these ICE agents. I know for a fact this isn't the first time. So for her to go and do that and cause all of that, why put yourself in that position? You got 3 kids. I told y'all, I'm not a person that's going to mess with no protests. I don't like stuff like that because anything can happen. You never know. The position that somebody that's close to you, close by, the position that you in, like, you never know. So I put yourself in that position.
Cars crossway in the streets, trying to obstruct federal law enforcement. That in of itself is a crime. And that's why they're getting her out of the vehicle. They're going to arrest her for obstructing the lawful execution of their jobs. But she was just one. But look, it's sad that she's dead, but she put herself in that situation. She put herself in harm's way. Did she not?
Steve, what you just explained is being totally ignored by the mainstream media. That's not being reported on the mainstream media. You're telling the truth. You're putting the whole story out there, and a backstory is very important. Absolutely right. She put herself in danger. She knew what she was doing. She was there to agitate. She was there to cause chaos. She was there to do what? Break the law. They all know what the law is, but there's a word that they just don't seem to understand. Comply. All you had to do was comply with the lawful orders of the police officers. You and I would not be having this discussion this morning.
And that's exactly what I've been telling people from the get-go. Even before any of this, I've been telling people from the get-go. I always tell people, when it comes to my channel, that to respect, police officers, because, like I said, for my safety, for your safety, they say it all the time. And I truly feel that, because it's definitely important. Just like that cop got a family to do, that law enforcement officer got a family to go to, you do too. So why try to cause all that mess? You know what I mean? Definitely sickening. Definitely sickening. Says here, Tim claiming he'll deploy the National Guard against ICE is beyond reckless, very reckless.
Other than my primary responsibility as governor is the protection of the people of Minnesota, and you can be assured, whether it's the state patrol or whether it's the National Guard, their deployment is there to protect Minnesotans from whatever it is. If it's an act of nature, if it's a global pandemic, or in this case, if it is a rogue federal agent. I don't know at this time, and I want to be very careful.
That's something that you should be very careful, because every time he speaks, and I love it. Keep him talking. He's not doing nothing making it worse for him. Deploying a National Guard, Minnesota National Guard, on ICE agents. Disgusting. I'm telling y'all. So they yelling at an individual, telling them that they got to turn around. This is what they're thought, like this right here. Why block? Why are y'all in a road? Why not? This is what I cannot stand. If y'all protesting, why be in a road? Like, why can't y'all go on the sidewalk and do that so people can get to and from? Like, you never know. It can be an emergency. It can literally be an emergency in any situation. Any situation, man. I'm telling y'all, bro. Like, I don't know how I would act if I had to be in that situation where it was a situation for me, my kids, my girl, anybody, being in a position like that, and then everybody are being ignorant in the middle of the road, protesting about something that obviously shouldn't even really be protested about. If y'all want me to be 100 with y'all, it shouldn't even be protested about. It's sickening, very sickening. I'm not gonna lie. says here this DHS Secretary Kristi Noem delivers horrible news for Minnesota leadership.
When it comes to enforcing federal law. You know, we've got thousands of officers there, and I'm not opposed to sending more if necessary to keep people safe.
Y'all heard it right there. 11-second video. We got thousands of officers that are deployed, but we'll send more. We'll definitely send more, and that's just what she gonna do. Trust and believe. This Nancy Mace, literally saying that and calling him and saying that he's very dangerous and very reckless for what he said and what he's done. Check it out.
The House Oversight Committee, meanwhile, is holding a hearing on the Minnesota fraud. This happened yesterday as Minnesota Congressman and House Majority Whip Tom Emmer warning that Governor Tim Walz could end up in handcuffs over his role in the alleged schemes. AG Pam Bondi also dispatching more federal prosecutors to the state to try and dig deeper into this potential misuse of federal funds. Congresswoman, what do you think went on here?
Well, number one, we learned yesterday from the witnesses that Governor Walz knew about the fraud from the very beginning when he was sworn into office, may have obstructed it in the process. And I agree. I mean, if he knew about it, obstructed it, his administration did, Keith Ellison, etc., they should be investigated, put in handcuffs, thrown in a jail cell if they broke the law. I'm deeply concerned about his recklessness in other ways that might be criminal, including the warning order he issued to the Minnesota National Guard to come in potentially and take up arms against the federal government and ICE agents and the President of the United States. This is a dangerous guy. I agree with Vice President Vance that he should too resign. This is very dangerous what he's doing right now, whether we're talking about wasteful, fraudulent taxpayer dollars and the usage thereof, or violence against police officers and ICE agents. This guy is very dangerous and needs to be